All right, so we're going to resume our pre-trip on the outside of the vehicle. I'm going to take the key for safety reasons. And while I'm on the outside of the vehicle, I'll be continuously listening for air leaks. We're going to go to the front of the vehicle and we're going to look for three things: leans, lights, and leaks. I'll start with the lights. Up at the top, we have 5 marker lights that serve as clearance lights. They're amber in color, and that is the proper color. They are securely mounted to the vehicle. They are not broken or missing, and they do not have excessive moisture buildup. More lights are the parking lights, the amber ones on the sides. They are not broken or missing. They're securely mounted to the vehicle. They are the proper color amber, and they have no moisture buildup. They serve as turn signal lights and 4-way flashers. And we also have on each side some clear headlights. They are the proper color clear. They are not broken or missing, and they serve as high beams and low beams. And down at the bottom, we have some clear fog lights. They are not broken or missing, and they are clear, the proper color, and they do not have any excessive moisture buildup. Underneath the vehicle, we do not see any leaks. There could be oil leaks, power steering leaks, coolant leaks, transmission fluid leaks, and maybe wiper fluid leaks, but we do not see any leaks. We also do not see any lean in the truck to left or right. If it was leaning to one side or the other, that could indicate faulty suspension, or our tire pressure is not at the correct level. Okay, so underneath the vehicle, one more thing that we want to look for is any hanging cables, hoses, or belts, and we do not see that either. All right, so now I'll continue my pre-trip inspection by looking under the hood. So I will unlatch it on both sides and raise the hood. I want to start the engine bay inspection on the left side. And the main thing that I want to point out is the wiper fluid. This is the reservoir. It's securely mounted to the vehicle. It's not broken or cracked. If it leaked, and it's not leaking, it would leak wiper fluid. The cap is present and secure. Another thing that you would usually look at in an actual pre-trip would definitely be, these air lines that go to the brakes. They have no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. The connections at both ends, there's no physical damage, and they are properly secured. And I hear no audible air leaks. And then, of course, on this side, you could check your hoses. We have a big coolant hose up here, and you could take a look at your belts and make sure they're not missing and they have no physical damage, no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on the hoses. But once we're done over here with that, we'll continue on the other side and look at the rest of the fluids. So now we're on the driver's side of the vehicle, where most of the things under the engine bay we need to check and look at. We'll start with our fluids. This is the coolant reservoir. It's securely mounted to the vehicle. It's at the proper level. This vehicle has been running for a little bit, so it's a little bit above the cold line, but there are no leaks. Okay, it's not broken or cracked. If it leaked, it would leak coolant. Here is a hose that goes to our coolant, and we would check it to make sure that the connections are secure at both ends and that the hose has no physical damage, such as abrasions, bumps, and cuts. And again, if it leaked, it would leak coolant. The cap is present and secure and has no physical damage. So that's one of our main fluids that we check, the coolant. Another fluid that we would check is the oil, the engine oil. We would check that here with the engine oil dipstick. It's present. If we needed to check it, we would pull out the dipstick, wipe it off, reinsert it, and then pull it out again and check the level to make sure it is at the proper level on the dipstick. The line, the hose that has the dipstick in it, there's no physical damage. It's rubber, so we're looking for abrasions, bumps, and cuts, and there's none of that. And I see no oil leaks on the dipstick hose. If I needed to add some oil, I would add it here. I would take off this cap, but we don't need to do that. The cap is present and secure. And underneath this little bracket, we have a hose that runs into the engine where you add the oil. And there's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on it. And I see no signs of oil leaking from the add oil location. Another fluid is the power steering fluid. This is the reservoir for it. It's at the proper level. The cap is present and secure. It's not broken or cut or cracked or anything. It's not leaking any power steering fluid. It's securely mounted to the vehicle. Here's a hose. The clamps are secure and present. There's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts or leaks on the hose. And so that's it for the power steering fluid reservoir. One other fluid is air. Okay, these are our air lines that run throughout the truck and the trailer, operate our brakes and our suspension. We want to make sure that they are secure, they're not dangling. You can see these zip ties here. Here's the steering axle, and so we've got clearance from that. It's not creating any kind of obstruction under the engine bay, and there's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on these lines. I hear no audible air leaks, and all of the fittings at the end of the air lines that I can see, they're properly secure. Okay, and they don't show any signs of physical damage. All right, so we also have another fluid that we could mention. This is our fuel filter. It's securely mounted to the vehicle. It's not broken or cracked. If it leaked, it would leak fuel. And the hoses, there's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on them. And the fittings on the end of the hoses, the connections, seem to be secure as well. They're not bent, broke, or cracked. So no leaks here. All right, so another place I want to talk about air leaks, possible air leaks, would be this brake line here. If it leaked, it would leak air. I don't hear any audible air leaks. There's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on it. And the fittings, the connectors on the ends are secure, and there's no physical damage. So one of the first systems I want to talk about on the truck, we have this steering column here. There's no excessive play in the steering column. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. These are joints or sockets, and they are lubricated. I don't see any shiny metal. They're not bent, broke, or cracked. The steering box down here is securely mounted to the vehicle. We don't have any missing nuts or bolts, no missing hardware. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. No leaks. If it leaked, it would leak power steering fluid. The steering box is connected to the pitman arm. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. The pitman arm is securely attached to the drag link. The drag link is not bent, broke, or cracked. The bushings look like they're intact. They're not leaking any grease. And we have a castle nut and cotter pin here. It doesn't look loose. It's not missing the cotter pin. It's securely fastened to the vehicle. The drag link that we already mentioned, it's connected to the control arm, the upper one. We have a bushing here. It doesn't appear to be physically damaged. We also have a cotter pin and castle nut connecting the control arm and the drag link. Cotter pin and castle nut are present and do not look to have any physical damage. And then down on the lower part of the wheel and connecting the two steering wheels, we have the tie rod. And that tie rod is connected to the lower control arm, which is a lot like this. Both are securely mounted to the vehicle. That one on the control arm that does have also a castle nut and cotter pin. No physical damage to it. It looks tight, and the cotter pin is not missing. And so that is it for the steering system. None of these components are bent, broke, or cracked. We have the brake chamber. There's no physical damage, no audible air leaks. Another important part of the brake system we want to mention is, of course, the air line. I may have already mentioned that, but there's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts on it. The connections, there's no physical damage or anything like that on the ends. And inside the wheel, we have brake pads and the brake drum. And we want to make sure they're securely mounted, they're not loose, they're not broken or cracked. There's no excessive debris like mud, dirt. There's no oil or grease on the brake pads or drum, which could indicate a leaking wheel hub. And there's no discoloration. Okay, that's something important that we want to mention. Discoloration could indicate that the brakes were overheated, which can sort of decrease the stopping power of the brakes. So we want to look for that. So if all that's good with the brakes, we would look up to our wheel and tire next. The sidewall, there's no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. No leaking air. And we check that on both sides of the tire. Also, our tread is at least 4/32 depth, and that's in inches. We need at least 4/32 on the front steer tires and 2/32 on the rest of the tires on the truck and the trailer. 2/32 inches. The tread is worn evenly, and the diameter of the steer tires match on both sides. Okay, and you're looking for punctures or anything that could be wrong with the tread, but we don't see any of that. So now we'll look At the wheel itself, there's no illegal welds on the wheel. It's not bent, broken, or cracked. It's properly seated to the tire all the way around. We don't hear any audible air leaks. Our lug nuts, they're also present. Okay, you want to make sure you take these caps off and actually look at the lug nuts. There's no shiny metal or no rust streaks, which could indicate a loose lug nut. And none of these are bent, broken, or physically damaged. All right, underneath here, we would have our wheel hub. It usually has oil in it. We would want to make sure all the hardware is present. It's securely mounted to the vehicle, the wheel, and it's not leaking oil. And another minor detail, but very important, the valve stem is not bent, broke, or cracked, and the valve cap is present. This is where we would check to make sure the tire is properly inflated. We usually want to at least have 100 psi, or it meets the manufacturer specifications of the tire. Okay, so that pretty much concludes all the components. Well, no, I missed one. One last component under the engine bay we want to look at. And trucks are different. You could have just leaf springs. You could have a combination of leaf springs and airbags. On this one, we have a single leaf spring. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. It's securely mounted to the vehicle. And in combination with the leaf spring, we have a shock absorber. It is secured at both ends. The hardware is present. And it's not bent, broke, or cracked. If it leaked, it would leak oil. So just the major parts underneath the engine bay, there's a lot. Make sure you talk about your fluids, which includes your air, and the brakes have air going to them through that hose. Make sure you talk about your steering system. Over here underneath, up inside the wheel, you've got your brake drum and your brake pads, your brake line and your brake cylinder, and then you have your suspension. And then just take a quick look up under here on the side of the engine, maybe the frame. We don't see any oil or coolant or anything that would indicate a leak.